Hello and welcome to the first lesson of Chapter 12. 12-1 is about the mean, median, and mode. So in tonight's lesson we have two main objectives. First, you will be able to find the mean, median, and mode, and the range, given some specific data. And secondly, you will be able to choose the best measure of central tendency. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so first, when we talk about measures of central tendency, those are exactly what the lesson is about, the mean, the median, and mode. All of those are considered measures of central tendency because they measure data. So the first one we have is mean. When we do the mean, that's when you find, as some people say, the average. And what you do is you take the sum of all the data values you have and divide it by the number of values there are. So for example, if I have data 2, 4, 6, and let's say 2 again, if I wanted to find the average, I'd add those all together, and I'd get 14, and I'd divide it by, well, 4, because there are 4 items. And then I'd get about 3 5/10 as an answer. So that's mean. Next, we have median. This is the middle number when the data is written in order from least to greatest. So the first thing you have to do with median is make sure you write the data values in order. So for me, if I took those same 4 numbers, I'd write 2, 2, 4, and 6. Now, I actually have a situation here where there is not one exact middle number because I have an even number of data. When that happens, you take the average of the 2 middle numbers. So 2 plus 4, 6, divided by 2 is 3. So here in this case, the median would be 3. But say now that I added another number at the end. Let's say there was a 7 here. All right, then in that case, there is one middle number. It'd be 4. So the median, if there is an odd number of data, is just the middle number. If it's an even amount of data, that's when you take the 2 middle numbers and find that average, or the mean of them. All right, and then the final one, there we go, is mode. When we talk about mode, it's the data item that occurs the most often. So again, looking up at that first one, I have 2, 4, 6, and 2. Well, the number that occurs the most often is 2. So 2 would be the mode. And I will stress that there can be no mode, so there's no number that appears more often than the others. Or there could be 2 or 3, depending on what number or numbers occur the most. And then we also have here range. When we talk about range, it's not usually a measure of central tendency, but it goes along with the ideas. The range is a difference, meaning the operation is subtraction, between the greatest and least value. So again, if I go to the top, my largest number, or greatest, is 6. My smallest is 2, so the range here is 4. There we go. So those are the measures of central tendency we're going to look at. So now let's go ahead and try an example. It says use a readathon graph. Find the A mean, B median, C mode, and D range of the data if you leave out Latana's pages. All right, so here we have to do 4 different things. Find the mean, median, mode, and range. Except they tell us straight up we're going to leave out Latana's score. So we're going to take that out. All right, and we're going to do exactly what they say. First, A is the mean. Well, to find the mean, you do the sum. So 40 plus 45 plus 48 plus 50 plus 50. All right, and if I add them together, oops, I have a handy dandy little calculator here. I might as well use it. So 40 plus 45 plus 48 plus, well, 50 plus 50. So I'm going to just put in 100 to make it easier. And I get 233. All right, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data items. So let's find out what my mean is. 5 divided by 5. I get 46 and 6/10. That would be the mean. All right, and then we have the median. Again, median is when you list them in order and find the middle number. And here they're very nice. They actually do list them in order for us. But if they didn't have them in order, again, that would be your first step. Then finding the middle number. Because there's only 5 data items, there's going to be 1 middle number, and it's 48. So I'm done. And then finally, let's see, find the mode. Is there a number that occurs more often than the others? Yes, there is. we have 50 that occurs twice. So the mode here would be 50. And then finally, D, find the range when you take the greatest and the least greatest number and subtract them. So our largest number is 50, our smallest is 40, so our range is 10. There we go. So there we did all 4 ideas of the measure of central tendency. Now it's your turn. Solve the following problem. We have the data 17, 10, 14, 24, 15, 19, 13, 20, and 17. Your job is to do what I just did. Find the mean, median, mode, and range. And when you're all done, come back and check your answer. So you can go ahead and pause me now. All right, let's get started, shall we? So first you have to find the mean by adding all those numbers together. And I could list them all out, but you know what? I'm just going to use my calculator right away. So 17 plus 10 plus 14, 24, 15. Oh, whoops. I just made an error there. We have to start this over again. So 27 plus 14. This is not quite working how it should. All right, let's see if I can get my calculator here. All right, and I get 149. And I really hope that's what it's supposed to be, because otherwise, that took a lot of time. All right, so I have 149, and then let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 data items. So I do 149 divided by 9, and I get really 16 and 5 times repeating. So that would be my answer. All right, so that's A. And then for B, well, median, so I have to list them in order from least to greatest. So I have a 10, a 13, a 14, a 15. Let's see, a 17, 17, 19, 20, 24. There we go. So here I listed them in order first, and now I have to find the middle number. So again, you could just sometimes find it, otherwise, sometimes helps to cross them out as you go. Our median here is 17. C, our mode, well, the number that occurs the most often here is in fact 17. And then D, our range. Our greatest value is 24. Our least greatest is 10. So we get 14 for our range. There we go. So those are my 4 answers for this one. All right, so now we have another example. How many modes, if any, does each have? So here again, we're looking at modes to see if there's 1, 2, or even 0. All right, so we're looking at A, $1.10, $1.25, 2, $2.10, $2.20 through 50. Looking at it, I don't see any number repeating, so there is no mode. All right, go ahead and do B and C now. And I will move this out of the way so you can see them. And when you're all done, come back and check them. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so for B, I see 7 occurs twice, as does 12. So here we have 2 modes, a 7 and 12. And then C, we have tomato, tomato, grape, orange, cherry, cherry, melon, cherry, grape. All right, so again, when we have mode, it doesn't always have to be just numbers. So looking at tomato, I see tomato occurs twice. Grape occurs twice. Let's see, orange occurs once. Cherry occurs 3 times. Melon occurs once. All right, there is one that is there more than the others, and that is cherry. So cherry would be the only mode. All right, and now final piece of this lesson is sometimes when we have data, there seems to be a number that's really off in comparison to the others. It's either really big or really small. And we call that an outlier. When we talk about outliers, again, it's just that number or that value that is much greater or less than the others. So taking a look at this, use this data. 7%, 4%, 10%, 33%, 11%, or 12%. So A says, which data value is an outlier? Well, here, it's a number that is much greater than the others. Here, I'd say it's 33%, because that is farther away from the rest of the data. And then it asks, how does this outlier affect the mean? So if I were to find the average of it, or add them all together and divide by 6, all right, what's going to end up happening is because I have such a big number in comparison, it's going to make the average larger than what it should be. So mean is larger or bigger than it should be, or the rest of the data described. All right, and just as if you had a really small number in comparison, if there was a number that was much smaller than the rest of the data, well then it would make the mean smaller than what it should be in comparison to the data. All right, and final piece is we talked about the 3 measures of central tendency, mean, median, and mode. Sometimes they are going to ask you to tell which one best fits a situation. And I'm going to tell you how to look for each one. We usually use mean as the best tendency if there's no outliers. If you're dealing with numbers and all of them are about the same, you'd want to use mean because it would give you a good middle number. Now, you usually use median if there is an outlier. If there's a number that's bigger or smaller than the others, it shouldn't really affect that middle number. So if there's an outlier, you use median. And finally, you use mode if you're dealing with something other than numbers normally. All right? So if they're talking about favorite color or favorite jeans, whatever it is. So A, the monthly amount of grain for a year. All right? So you could go ahead and do this one, and sometimes there's a couple that make sense. All right? The monthly amount of grain for a year, well, it could be either mean, so you could add up the amounts and then divide by 12 for the months. Otherwise, it could be, I would say median as well, because if you have an outlier for a year, it could in fact be median. So I would accept either one of those. And then B, most popular color of shirt. Well, that one you're going to have to go with mode. That's not a number. And people would have to choose their favorite. And again, you could do the same thing here. What measure of central tendency best describes each situation? Why don't you go ahead and do these through here, 17, 18, and 19. And when you're all done, come back and check your answers. So pause me now. All right, let's go ahead and check 17, the number of apples in a 2-pound bag. Well, if you bought a whole bunch of 2-pound bags, you'll find generally there's about the same number of apples in a bag. Some might weigh a little bit more, but not too much more. So here I would say mean would be the most appropriate response. Then 18, the favorite brand of jeans of a 14-year-old. Well, if you're talking like Silvers or whatever it is, they're going to choose something based off their favorite. So you're going to go with mode. And then ages of students in a 5th grade class. Now again, this is one of those ones where I'd accept probably mean or median because they're all generally around the same age, so it would work to do mean. But maybe there is a number that's really high and really small comparison, so median would work as well. All right, that is your lesson for tonight. I will see you in class tomorrow. Bye-bye.